The import media dialog can be about as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. No, actually not complicated, but detailed as you want it to be. As always, click Command I because don't waste your time using your mouse to import media or anything for that matter. Just use a key command. So Command I, and let's go from the top left and we'll go from there. Cameras. This is where your FaceTime HD camera will be, i.e. your built-in webcam, or if you have an external USB camera, it'll show up there. Next up, devices. This is going to be your built-in SSD, and something really cool, it can also show not only external hard drives, thumb drives, flash drives, that kind of sort of thing, SD cards, but also networked drives. I really like that, and also networked computers. Convenient if you have, let's say, a whole studio filled with a bunch of editing computers that have different footage from different clips from the day. Favorites, those are folders or directories that you have chosen. I chose desktop. Here we see a video file right down here. Now this doesn't always look this simple. It's because I, right-clicked it, and you'll have a ton of different attributes you can choose from. By default, show default columns, you get all this. There's start and media duration, resolution, frame rate, so much good stuff. I think it's a little much to look at when you're importing your data. So I just say hide all columns and makes it one heck of a lot more simple. Next up, when you do find your clips to import, you can decide which event you want it to be in. An event is a subset of your larger library file, which you can select. Mine's called demo library. And you can create a new event if you want, instead of adding it to an existing event and then having it copied over and create a new one afterwards. So that's really nice. Files. You can click and show and hide everything on the right side. All right, so the benefit of copy to library. It takes any file you have and it will copy it into your larger library file. Everything's neat and tidy, but you have to remember to delete that file, or else you're going to have a duplicate file on your drive, which is a bit pointless. Or you can click Leave Files in Place. And that's nice because then you don't have to worry about duplication, but at that point you do have to worry about, okay, once you import it, really what's happening is macOS is creating an alias file in your library file. And if you move said video file at this point, you'll get that really annoying unlinked big red exclamation mark in your timeline that the file cannot be found. So if you're going to do leave files in place, make sure you leave them in place. Keywords. When you're importing, you can have from Finder tags. So that's going to be the Finder. Let's see, show. That will be, for example, if you take your file, click Command I, or right click, there we go. And you'll have the color tags and then other tags that you've previously created that will show up when you look for or search for anything in macOS. I've created for different lenses and resolutions. Next up, you have keywords to import from folders. And let's say the video file I was just looking at had the same color tags, but assigned to the folder. That would take that information into consideration. Next up, analyze video. Remove pull down in video. That's only if you're doing importing specifically from a scanning device that's taking 24 frame per second film and converting to digital 30 frames per second. Most people are not going to have to deal with that. Balance color. This one has proven super beneficial to me. let's say you've done a long take of a couple of shots outside and the sun has changed the white balance a bit. This will match everything as close as it can during import so you don't have to and can save a ton of time. All right, find people. This one is really, really cool, but can be a little confusing or daunting in the first place. So if you just click find people, it won't actually track it like, let's say, it, finding exactly who the person is, and their name, kind of Facebook style. This will just give you, try to search for 6 attributes, and those are close-up shot, medium shot, wide shot, one person, 2 people, or a group of people. And then it will create metadata for that so you can easily find your files from those 6 different choices. Now, create smart collection. That's nice because then you're going to have on your left side a little smart collection that you can click, and then it'll say, show all the files that have found, for example, 1 person or 2 people in them. And finally, if you click consolidate, find people results, this will, let's say you have it's works the best for long clips with many different scenes. And this will, instead of showing a zillion every single different clip being tagged for multiple people or tight or wide shot, this will take, for example, wide shot with 1 person and group them all together into broader subsets. So yeah, that's a highly, highly underrated and probably underutilized feature in Final Cut Pro. Yes, I just think most people don't know about it. Next up, transcode. All right, so optimized media by default is automatically transcoding your footage, whatever it is, into ProRes 422. Just about if not the most efficient on your computer, your Mac computer, uh, median format to work with while editing. It's larger in file size, but really easy for your computer to decode without working too hard. Instead of optimized media or with optimized media, you can create proxy media. And proxy media is a much smaller version of the original media. And ProRes Proxy, you can choose. It's really nice. It's the ease of ProRes, but a lot smaller file size, or really small file size, H.264, which surprisingly in 2022, they haven't updated to H.265, or at least the option to, because it's much, much more efficient now. And we have hardware acceleration, for example, on the M1 and M2 chips for it. And you have to choose the file size scale. So let's say you have 4K files, but you want to make them 50% or 25 or 12.5, just so you have these really tiny, really efficient files to work with, or same source, or even 4K, 1080p, SD if you're working with 8K files, just to make your life a little bit zippier when you're in your timeline editing. Next up, analyze audio, fix audio problems. Those kind of audio problems include hiss, background noise, fans, air conditioners, that sort of thing, pops, clicks, and that will find them and attempt to fix them. Separate mono and group stereo audio. This is great if, let's say, you have a 4-channel recording, 2 pairs of stereo, and it's a recording of a conversation between 2 people, and you have, in essence, 2 mono lavalier microphones, but they're each getting recorded into the left channel of the stereo pair. This will separate them, so you're only working with that actual mono source. And remove silent channels. I've found this really useful, for example, when you use the Atomos external recording devices, because they record up to about 8 different channels of audio, but you're only using like 1 stereo pair, and the rest are just clogging up visually your timeline with these empty channels. This will strip all that out and just have your basic whatever channels you used. So that's really nice, really efficient. And assign audio role. An audio role is a color and a metadata tag that allows you to separate, for ease, dialogue, effects, and music. And they're like blue, green, and like a turquoise color, if I remember. And these can also be are automatically tracked to key commands, so that makes it easy to sift through when you're editing and finding your files. Assign iXML track names. This is if the recording or the video file that you have already has the sidecar metadata of this or metadata baked in, and Final Cut will read it, so that will be imported automatically. And highly underrated, close window after starting input. Definitely click that, because otherwise every time you go to import your data, you're going to have to click import and then go up to the left-hand corner and close this. It's just an extra step you don't need.